Hey everyone, it's Jacqueline. I was gonna make a quick update. I'm trying to do this under 10 minutes. So, someone had commented on my last video, which was some of the trauma I had gone through with man in my past, and or just relationships and people and so on and so forth. And someone had commented and asked for a story time on gay men and women that I've had issues with. Gay men and cis women, heterosexual cis women. I just say sorry, that's someone commenting. So so when I moved to Los Angeles, I was about 20. I was like 22. I'd moved to LA, and I got a job, and before I transitioned, I was able to get a job like that, like immediately. I mean, as a white gay male in Los Angeles in 2009, 2000 and, yeah, 2008, um, moving to Los Angeles at that time was I didn't even have to show people my portfolio in barbershops or salons. I had multiple shops fighting to try and get me as their stylist, and they wouldn't even look at my portfolio. I'd walk in. I remember they were like, "Oh, please, I don't need to see that. Like, you're welcome here." Well, so I was working at a well-known barbershop in Los Angeles. Actually, it's on Melrose Avenue. It's kind of a chain, which I didn't know at first. Well, anyway, I got the job there immediately, and almost within a month, I had become like one of their number one salespeople on hair color because it was a barbershop and they didn't really know how to do hair color there. So I was training people and teaching them how to do it. And they had some color, but it wasn't much. But I was able to make it work. And then but it was mostly men's hair. It was a lot of men's haircuts, and also long hair. I did a lot of long hair because no one there really did long hair. It was a men's barbershop. So, um, after about 6 months, there was actually a barber named Richie the Barber, and he's kind of famous now. He literally looks like a clown. He's had his entire face tattooed to be a clown. Red hair. He cuts hair in Los Angeles, still in Hollywood, and he puts bow ties on his clients, giant bow ties, and he rides a unicycle, Los Angeles. Anyway, well, Richie actually gave me some of the best advice I'd ever had when I first started to transition, and I worked with him. And when I told him that I was thinking about actually transitioning into a woman, he was like, "Do it. If that makes you happy, you got to be you, and your happiness comes first." And I was like, "Holy shit!" I mean, he's a straight guy, and it was just one of those things where well, little did he know, he actually got totally freaked out once I started transitioning, and then I started looking the way I do. He was like, "I find myself checking you out, and I can't help it." But that's another story with Richie. But anyway, so there were manager was gay there, not the owners. The owners were two redneck men, and the manager was gay, and there was a cis woman that ran the front desk, and the manager's boyfriend would sometimes run the desk. So it was two gay guys, the manager and his boyfriend. And so one day, after I would say about a year of being there, no, not even a year, I would say 6 months of being there, I started to tell people that I was going to transition, and that was kind of, it was about to happen. So I started taking hormones, and I started, transitioning. My body started changing. And so one day I was like, this is it, this is the time. And I went to my friend's house and I needed a pair of shoes. I had a dress, and I actually had a fall that I would wear on top of my head. Like so the front of my hair was about this long, but the fall would make it look like it was a lot longer. So I had this fall, and I walked in one day, and I was from then on. I've been a woman ever since. It's just, I've never ever gone back. And the two owners walked in that day, and they never walked in. And they came in, they were so freaked out. And I saw them, and I overheard what they were like saying from other people. And I went straight into the break room with both of them. And these guys were like rednecks, but they owned like a funky barbershop. It was like just a front for the money. Because, it was in Los Angeles, but these guys were from Texas or something. So anyway, I went to the break room and I was like, are we going to have a problem with this? Like right off the back. They were like, well, no, because you look good. And I looked at them and I was like, yeah, that's not a reason to excuse it. I was like, I'm transgender and I'm going to be living as a woman from now on. So if we're going to have an issue about it, we might as well discuss it right now. They were so like blown away that I just came back there. Like my level of confidence was on a whole other level. And they're like, no, 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 no issues. And like that was it. So after being there for a while, and I transitioned for about a year at that time, and after being there for a while, there was issues with both gay guys and the cis woman that ran the front desk. And she would say things like, she would turn around and I'd be waiting in my chair for one of my clients to come in, and she would turn around and look at me and go, wow, I totally forgot you're not a woman. Like she would say shit like that. I mean, this was like 2008, and it was like 2009 in Los Angeles, and you would think even then they would be open minded, but no. So she looked at me and she said, "Yeah, she said that," which was crazy, you know. And then the two gay guys, the manager, he was fine. He would never say anything, but his boyfriend was the worst. And so I would have men come in, and they'd be like, "Oh, I'm here to see Jacqueline," and he would look at them and go, and they were heterosexual men, you know, and he would look at them and go, "That's not really her name or his name," you know. He would say shit like that to them, and they're like, "No, no, no, her name's Jacqueline. She's right over there." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And one day I was standing behind him when he did it, and he said it and he laughed, but I was standing right behind him, and my client sat down with like kind of wide eyed. I'd walked up in the middle of him walking up, and I whispered in the gay guy's ear, and this is harsh, but I got in his ear and I was like, "What the fuck did you say, faggot?" And he was like, like his eyes got so big. I know that's a little harsh. You know, times have changed. We don't say that line anymore, but I totally said it in his ear, and I was so pissed, and I was sick of his shit. So he like was terrified, and he ran away from the front desk, and he was like, "Oh my god, she's like attacking me or something," you know, and I can see this guy in my head. I can see him, and I was like, I looked at my client. I was like, "I'll be with you in just a minute." And I got the manager with his boyfriend, and I looked at him and I was like, he keeps telling clients my old name, and he keeps referring to me as he. And obviously, I'm living my life as a woman, and I've already discussed that I'm transitioning, so I don't understand why this is an issue. So anyway, I secretly started interviewing at places because I was sick of that place and I wanted to leave. So I started interviewing, and after I transitioned, no one would hire me. No one. And all these managers at all these hair salons and barbershops, they're all gay men, and none of them would hire me. They looked me up and down, and it was obvious that I was transgender at that time because I had just begun hormones and stuff, just like a year into it. And they were like, "Oh no." They saw me as like a liability or like, "Oh, the tranny is going to be working here." It was like that. So gay men were incredibly harsh with me. And then I finally actually got a job at a salon in Beverly Hills that was incredibly high end. And we're talking like ultra wealthy here. We're talking the haircuts were $300. It's not my type of clientele. And so after a while of being there, I started working there. And when I was at my old barbershop, I told them that I had gotten another job and I was going to put my 2 weeks in. And they're like, "No, you don't need to do that. You can go ahead and go now if it's easier for you." And I was like, "Are you sure? I'd rather work out my 2 weeks." They're like, "No, no, no, go ahead." So I went into the shop. 6 months later, it wasn't working out. None of my clients that I had built up at the barbershop were able to afford the prices at this place. So I didn't retain any clients. And I really don't like rich people. Just be honest, I don't like them. I've never liked wealthy people, they bother me. And so I couldn't kiss their ass in the salon and play to their. I mean, we had a celebrity room that had a shaded glass around it so that paparazzi couldn't get pictures. It was like that kind of salon. And so I tried to go back to a Floyd's barbershop, not there, but at another location, at the old one. And I went in, and they ended up calling my old manager at the previous barbershop. And they said, "Oh no, she didn't fill out her 2 weeks. She didn't finish her 2 weeks, so we can't hire her at any of the Floyd's barbershops." And yeah, it was so obvious that they got rid of me that way, and it was their way of never hiring me ever again. And I get it. I mean, but it was obvious because I was trans. I mean, I was their top colorist. I was training their stylists how to cut long hair, and then when I transitioned, everything changed. But there was really no like. And then the manager's boyfriend would refuse to respect my gender identity and would tell my clients my old name, which is dangerous. Anyway, so that's what I had to deal with in Los Angeles. So when everybody says, "Oh no, the LGBTQ community is open minded and so on and so forth," no, gay men never accepted us until recently, and it's because being trans now is quite fashionable. So now gay men are like, "Oh yeah, I love trans people." Now this is a new thing, and for them at least, which is fine. It's good that people change. But cis women, they feel threatened. They feel threatened, especially if you look good and you can get men that, they can't or something. So they see it as like competition, like it's a threat. Anywho, that's an interesting little update. So that was my little journey in my beginning of my transition, and especially with work and stuff. But my confidence was always at a 10, and no one was coming in between that. Anyway, which is what I advise to people. Sometimes you just got to believe. You just got to believe who you are and commit to it. You either commit or you don't. Anyway, I hope everyone's well, and I'm going to give this an upload. And have a great day. Bye.